or anything first? Oh, Jenny just said she's trying to get on.
I just got a message from Jenny saying she was trying to get on.
Hopefully she gets on. I saw that everyone posted on Doohickeys, the paper, so I didn't know if we had any questions or clarification or anything we need to discuss.
Yeah, I don't know of any.
I don't think so. You guys are fast. It's like all ready to go, pretty much.
That's why I love this group so much.
It is nice, isn't it?
Yeah. I probably need to beef mine up a little bit. It's not finished, but it's
For my side, I noticed a lot of you guys cite a lot of other sources and stuff like that, but when I do mine is I draw upon my previous management experience and try to what I found worked in previous jobs and stuff like that, and that's how I write it. Is that acceptable? Is that enough? Do I need to find outside sources? Thoughts, questions, slanders, remarks?
I think that's good. I don't have experience, so I have to go to those other sources, you know. But I think that's fine if it's your words.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't have much experience either. That's why I just cited what I did. So I think it works either way.
Yeah. Should I invite Jenny again? And if we do, you need to tell me how to do that because I don't know. I don't know if that's where she's having a problem or if it's like an internet thing or. Oh no, it can't be internet.
I actually have two Betsy's on my screen.
Well, I keep dropping off, and so I keep having to come back in, and so it keeps adding me.
Oh.
And then I had a little message from Jen that says she's trying to get in. Jenny, excuse me, and she's trying to get in, but she can't.
She might not have gotten an invite because it shows that there's 6 of us that were invited.
She was on the.
Maybe it's right.
Oh, there
she is. Yay.
Yay!
Sorry, Jenny, if that was my problem.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
Sorry about that.
No, you're fine. We just talked about the doohickeys a little bit, if anyone had any questions or anything, but it doesn't seem like we do, that everyone's posted, and we might have a few more things to write, but otherwise, Leanne can probably just get to work and we can help her with that.
Okay. Well, Deanna, let me know if I need to write more for my part or add motivation to my part. So, you know, I thought that was a great idea that Brad did motivation with the training and stuff. So I had written mine before he had typed that in. So let me know if I need to add to or change or whatever.
Okay, and I added a little bit more from the problem into the problem, and I thought it covered a little bit more of motivation, just to give a little more well-rounded problem to cover safety and motivation.
Okay.
Good.
And I think we're almost at 3,500 words, so we're doing really good.
Awesome.
Good. That'll get us ready for, we said the 29th it's due. We'll have it done way before then.
Yep.
It's due Monday.
Okay.
No, isn't it another month?
29th,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Really?
The 29th.
Well, let's just knock it out and then
Right.
start working on the next one.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, then we'll go ahead and get started with discussion. So, first question, what were the positive results from this pilot program that we got to read about this week with the bank?
Seems like everybody enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
It furthered other people's careers and got people to know, and other people, other side of the company, led to some promotions.
Yeah, I think it created kind of like a connection between the employees, kind of like expanded their networks.
It also seemed like it was beneficial to both the mentors and the mentees. They both seemed to benefit.
Right. Well, and I know for me, this isn't just, I suppose I learned it from the reading, but it's more just like talking and stuff, just how important having those links are, like having friends on LinkedIn when you're trying to find jobs, and just those connections that whether you already have a job or not, like that is a good thing to have. And I think I underestimated that until this lesson. Like, I haven't worked for a while, I've just been a student, but I need to start going out there and getting a job. And this was a great lesson for me to recognize like that I had it before.
Yeah, I thought one thing also that was interesting was there were people that were going to look outside of the company because they didn't have the connections, they didn't have the knowledge or the connections inside the bank to move forward. But when they had that mentor, then they were able to realize that they could stay and still, further their careers.
Right.
I thought it was interesting where one mentor felt like she or he was kind of stagnant in their job, and they felt like they wanted to progress in learning or whatever, but they just didn't know how. But through their mentee, they learned about, or it was brought to their attention about the credits where they can, gosh, what is it called?
Education credits.
Thank you. Education credits. So this mentor went back to school, and that is what they wanted. And so I thought that was a good thing that they gained from that.
That kind of leads into our next question, which is this result, this successful result that they saw, unique just to the bank, or could those results transfer into another company if they were to follow that same model? Yeah, Brad?
I think it depends on the size and the culture of the company. My last big company that I worked for had a terrible culture about it, that they didn't, they valued education, they wanted you to go get trained in all these different things, but they didn't leave you a way to do it. They didn't allow you to make the time to take advantage of it. And then if they were going to pay for it for you, but it came out of your area's P&L, so it would cost your own bottom line if you went and did this. So they really didn't care about your own personal growth. They wanted you to do it, but it was almost as a detriment to your area financially if you did it, if you actually took advantage of it. So I felt that, the way they did it was not as effective as, say, this the Federal Reserve did.
I thought it was a good model because they seemed to kind of cover all the bases. They made it available. It was voluntary. It seems like they had the support of management too, and they enforced that support even when they ran into a couple of little snags. So I thought it was a good model. I think it would be successful in other companies.
I think that if other companies did it, they should follow the same process where the advisory group also got a consulting firm to come in and help them to tailor it just for their company. And so I think that was a benefit to them. And so I think that the program could work for large companies as long as they got that specific guidance from a consulting company to help them with their company's goals.
So how can mentoring help employees with career development?
Can you repeat your question one more time?
Yeah.
Sorry.
How can mentoring help employees with career development? Yeah, Brad?
I think that it can introduce them to people in higher levels of management. It can help them get their path or find out about different paths. I had a friend who started out in just basic bookkeeping at a company, and they had a similar mentoring program, and they told her, like, hey, you can come in, and she was mentored by the HR manager, and she learned about that, and now she's the director of HR for Capcom, which is a huge video game company. So, at least the American side of it. Anyway, so it can definitely adjust careers. You can, by talking to your mentors, you can find out different pitfalls. It's like having like a scoutmaster or an assistant scoutmaster that really takes in one of the kids under his wing to really kind of help them along and give them a little bit extra attention. And it can also be one of those things that it doesn't necessarily need to be just completely career focused. It could just also help somebody who isn't normally like kind of getting not necessarily getting along, but it helps them interact, friends and stuff like that. You know, we talked a little bit last week about that one gal that they were really unsure about because of her. She seemed kind of rigid and didn't interact well. Like a mentor would really help with that. Kind of get to know her a little bit better. Kind of maybe help her soften some of those edges.
Well, it talked about like personal development goals that they all had, like that one girl that wasn't good at public speaking or whatever. I think that was the story. Anyway, so then she worked on that with her mentor, and I think that would help like development and promotion and stuff.
Also,
I've never heard of.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Didn't they say that they had like meetings that they would set up, and then they would have speakers come in and talk about certain things? I can't remember where it was at. I was trying to find it, but I think that helps, you know, with career development, having those guest speakers come in.
Well, I'd never heard of a mentoring program within a company. Well, I've only worked for a teeny tiny company. But I think if you work for a really large company as an employee at the bottom, you could kind of just get, you know, you're just there, no one knows you're there. And so having a mentor that's higher up in the company, I think just is helpful just so you feel more like you're part of the company, not that you're just somebody there pushing buttons.
That made me think, Deanna, you know, they picked their criteria were people that didn't have access, or they felt like didn't have access to, how did they put it, to other people or to ways to improve themselves professionally. So I thought that was interesting too. You know, they definitely targeted those people that they felt would have a problem or not have an easy time getting, you know, rising through the ranks.
Has anyone had personal experience with mentoring? I thought kind of like Brad had shared. I could think of more like in the church with scouting or young women more than experience in the job. But yeah, Brad, did you have your hand?
So I started out when I was in college the first time. I worked as a custodian for the seminaries and institutes out in the Bay Area. And after I finished my degree, my boss would come out and see me periodically and just talk to me, kind of tell me that. And I told him, I want to be the one employee you have that you don't have to worry about. You know, that, you know, everything will get done. And he saw that, and he'd come in and he'd tell me a little bit, teach me a little bit of business stuff for some reason. And then when I told him, I said, okay, I just finished a couple of my degrees. I'm going to have to find something else. He said, better yet, how about you move to Utah and I'll put you in charge of a team of guys. I said, okay, sure. And I did that, and I did so well at that, they put me in charge of all of Northern California 2 months later.
Wow.
And so I was in charge of all the seminaries and institutes from the Oregon border down to Fresno, and I was in charge of all the church cleanings, the deep clean carpet and hardwood floor refinishing, and the theatrical tech crew that worked at the Oakland Temple. So I had over 25 employees doing three to four different jobs, and I'd wake up every morning, look at my email, and tell my wife, "All right, looks like I'm driving to Eureka. All right, I'll see you tomorrow." And so it was a difficult job, but I learned a lot. The constant HR issues, having to deal with unions, but I was given a chance because my boss saw something and tried to mentor me up into the company. So does that even work, or is that okay?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So, Brad, I have to ask, did you have anything to do within Sacramento at the seminary building across from American River College?
I didn't. We actually had one guy that covered Sacramento area and like Gridley and then part of Reno. I did everything else.
Okay, because I was going to say, I went to the Sacramento seminary building. Long time ago.
Dean was my counterpart up there, and he's a great guy, so I know it was well taken care of.
Yeah, when I read that question, I don't know if I have any experience, especially not like Brad, but someone's kind of taken me under their wing and let me lie, or however you want to say that. But I do think our church programs, the reason why you have leaders is for that like Young Women's, for example, so that girls who might be shy and don't have friends within the group, they can have a leader that can be their friend or be their example. I think that's unique to the church, that we have these opportunities to not only serve in those positions so that we can befriend people, but that we can that we can be the mentors or the mentees. Like, I don't know if every organization does that or has that platform. Yeah, Brad?
Now, I'm sure most of you have had some time in Young Women's, either as one or as an instructor or advisor or something. Now, did you gals ever? Sorry, is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So, now,
I haven't been called a gal for a long time. I like it.
Now, when in your leadership role there, did you ever encourage, say, have like the Laurels to be that mentor for the beehives, to kind of help them, or did they do that naturally? Because when I was Young Men's president, I had to encourage the priests to be more helpful than they were. No, and I guess my question, were the gals naturally, the young women naturally more inclined to do that on their own, or did they need the encouragement?
I think it depends on the group, because I've been in several Young Women in wards, different wards, and some groups were more apt to just take those beehives and my maids underneath their wing and be good examples to them and help them. And then there's other groups that it was like, we're the Laurels and we're not going to associate with you. So I think it just depends on the people, the group.
Well, it's been my experience that if there's a tradition in the ward of helping, of reaching out, that seems to help, and the girls just, that's the way that happened to them, and so they turn around and do it to somebody else. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of what I have seen, at least a few times in my experiences, is that seems to be the case. Is if there's a good tradition, the girls feel like, oh yeah, I need to pay back. I had that experience. I need to pass that on. And that would kind of translate into this kind of mentoring system in a business sense too, where if there's that tradition of helping one another, maybe that would translate to more mentoring within an organization, whether it's church or business or whatever.
Mm-hmm. In my Young Women's, when I was the advisor, we had such a small group that we all met together, and they were just all friends. There was no separation of Laurel's my maids beehives. So I could see that in a company, when it's a small company, everyone's just there for each other. They all just work together, get along. But in a larger group, I could see the mentoring and, you know, helping the ones that are new to come in and help them feel comfortable is important to have in a larger group setting, I would think.
The next question is kind of on the opposite of what we've been talking about. But the next question is, would a less formal mentoring program work better for the mentees? So if the mentees were able to choose their own mentors, do you think that would work better as opposed to being assigned? Brad, do you want to?
Oh, no, someone. I talk way too much in these things, so please, someone else say something.
Well, I think one of the reasons they were successful was because of like that matching process. You know, they looked at different goals and they looked at characteristics and personalities and matched them up, and I think that was one of the keys to their success.
Yeah, it seems like they took a long time trying to match them up. So.
Yeah, I agree. I think that was one of the reasons the program was successful, is because it was more formal, it was more structured, and they did try and take into account who would work well together.
Well, and I think that sometimes our own choices of people we think we would work well with that would help us learn more isn't really the person that would, you know, our own, what we think really might be what reality is, you know, and having somebody outside to pick for us might be a really good, or probably is a better way to match up the mentor-mentees.
Yeah, because you might just choose someone that you are comfortable with, or like your friend or something, so that wouldn't really help you grow.
Right.
Using it as an excuse to hang out. Oh, I'm sorry.
Right. No, go ahead. I was just going to say that the difference is that your mentor might have from you is what you're going to learn from. You don't want to pick your best friend as your mentor. You're not going to learn as much from them.
I think another factor is in this program, everybody volunteered, so the mentors, they knew their role, they were willing to take upon that role. Where if you just, if I as an employee just chose someone, well, I want them to be my mentor, they may not be so willing to be in that position, you know. So I think that was another key of why this worked well.
That's kind of the next question, so we all can expand on that. But why would a company want to take a more formal approach to pairing off mentors as opposed to having people choose their own? Why does that work better?
I think that it would help with, I mean, like with the example that we just read, it helped with networking, for one. Two, it helps us to gain friendships or associations with people we normally wouldn't. And to also, I also felt like it helped to start unifying that company. It brought employees together that wouldn't normally associate, and it kind of brought a unity to their companies.
Well, the other thing I thought was interesting was they made sure that people were at least 2 pay grades apart. And so I thought that was interesting because you may not normally have access to those people who are a little bit higher up in the company hierarchy. So unless you were assigned, you may not even have that opportunity to have that, you know, association.
I think, too, having it be more formal kind of gives you more of an accountability, whether you're a mentor or a mentee. Like in this group, I didn't choose you guys as a group, but I'm accountable to do my part in this group. And if I were to choose my group of friends or what, you know, people I've already known, I might be more relaxed in the sense that I'm not always on top of what I should be doing. kind of at a different standard when I'm with people I'm working with as opposed to people I've already known.
Good thought.
What might have been improved in the Federal Reserve Bank program? On these same lines, what could have been improved?
It sounded like they took some time away from their normal job to, what was it, 2 days or something like that. That seemed a little excessive, just because they have a job to do as well. So to have them come back and catch up, so that seemed, at least for me, could be a problem.
They did solve that for the second event by reducing it down to 1 day only, because they were having difficulty with people missing that much work in a month. Something I would like to see that the people that were promoted or previous mentees to become future mentors, because they know the system, they know how it worked, they know how well it worked in their life, so then you have some real true believers in there that can really sell the program out to the rest of the company.
You know, I think with the training, I don't know if it would be possible. It would have to be something this company looked into, but having the training on a Saturday maybe and paying the employees to do that training, even though it was an extra thing, that way it wouldn't take away from their work. One thing that I thought of, and it kind of goes along with what Brad was just talking about, is the first time when they did the pilot, they went out and they sold it. They kept trying to put things out there to have people come in and put applications in, and they got more applications than they needed. But the second time they didn't. I think maybe they needed to do that a little bit, maybe not as much as the first time, but do it so that it was fresh again in the employees' minds, to know that this program was starting again, and that they wanted people to come in and to add previous mentee mentors onto that recruiting, sitting at the table at the cafeteria or wherever, trying to draw people in to do this program and letting them know what a great program it was and how it helped them.
Those are all great improvements, I think, that they could use, even though I think it's already a program, but they can improve. These are kind of the next few questions are kind of along the same lines we just discussed. I'll ask them anyway. Why do you think less people signed up for the second round?
Why do you think they did?
Yeah.
Because there were probably people from the previous one that didn't get in, and it was probably because of some of the word of mouth from coworkers that had participated. Maybe.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting. They said on the third round they had a bigger participation again. And I think sometimes it takes a little while for word to filter through an organization. This was a great program. You'd benefit from it. So maybe that second round was just kind of waiting for that tide to kind of catch up with them.
Also to see if it wasn't just one of those flash in the pan. The CEO's got too much time on his hands, so he decided to do this, and then everybody loses interest in 6 months.
So what could the company have done to get more applicants that second time around?
I think they said they didn't do as much advertising and stuff, didn't they, for the second round?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe that would have helped.
Yeah, I think Jenny said something about that they didn't push it like that before.
Yeah.
Is that right, Jenny?
Yeah, and that's what made me think of it is they probably should have advertised more, promoted it more. Probably not as much as the first time, but just a little bit more, so that the people knew that you were continuing on with this program, that it wasn't just a flash in the pan sort of thing, and that, you know, it was a good program. So.
All right, next question. What should they do with the mentoring program moving forward? Should they expand or should they keep it small?
I think they should keep it small. I think it was like one of the reasons for the success of the program, you know, because it was small enough that they could have their meetings and focus on the people. Well, I don't think they should expand it.
I agree.
I think maybe by only 5 or 10 more, but nothing more than that.
I still think the program's just too young to go expanding now. So they have had success, but that doesn't mean they should run too far with it and lose it. How do they get more people without forcing them to be involved?
I think that falls back down to the advertisement thing. Again.
Well, I think it's interesting that it says forcing them. Maybe I'm wrong, but when I was reading it, I didn't feel like anyone was being forced to do anything.
Yeah, it seemed all voluntary, which I thought was another key to his success.
Right.
People were genuinely interested.
Yeah. How can they encourage people who really need mentoring to get mentored?
Well,
How do
maybe
you go ahead.
I was just going to say maybe targeting the advertising or the promotion to segments of the company that those kind of people may be in.
It's how do we get anything to people that need it that don't think to ask for it? How many of us run into people that are inactive in church, have friends and neighbors, and you know that they need to go, but the effort has to come from them. And if the effort doesn't come from them, they're not going to be invested in it. They're just going to be dragged there, endure, and then go home. And if you force the mentoree to be mentored, they're not going to have the same, they're not going to get the same thing out of it as, say, if they came to that knowledge on their own. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, it does. Maybe that question before it goes premature. Like if you then, forcing someone, are they going to get anything out of it? No. But I think you're right. The better question, Brad, is how do you get someone to know that that's what they need?
How do you make it their idea?
Yeah, no one's above mentoring or trying to learn more. We all need that.
A possible solution, I mean, they talked about doing little pamphlets or whatever that they distributed to people. I felt like in reading this that the managers or supervisors over each department weren't fully on board, and I think that's one thing that would help is getting the managers on board that this is a great program, having the pamphlet that the managers could give to an employee and just give a good plug on it to which employee they felt like would benefit most from it. I don't know, but that was one thing I saw in the case study, that these managers just, some of them weren't totally on board.
I also thought about the article we read by Aaron Scannard about making employees lifelong learners and making your company have a culture of learning and enjoying learning, and that might be a way to people, is just to have that culture of learning within your organization.
Brad, did you have your hand?
I forgot.
I think we. Oh, you know what? I just forgot too. Something Tim said reminded me. Oh man, I didn't come back. Sorry, that's behind me now. The last thing, which I think we've already gone over this, but we'll just compile it into one list. They want me to ask each team member what they would do, and ask them to have specifics on what they would do. So I suppose if you were running, that's the question. So I suppose if you're a mentor or mentee in this program, what would you do to...
What would we do about what? I guess I'm not following.
Right. No, I don't understand the question either. But I think it means, like, what would we do to improve?
Oh.
That's not what it says, because that's what I think.
We'll go with that. Sounds good.
Oh, I remember what I was going to say before. So maybe it will get us back. Sorry, guys. When Jenny before was talking about, advertisement and getting the managers more excited. Now that they have this successful, at least the first round, second round, successful program, they should use those people as advertisers. Does that make sense? Like almost have them go out on a TV spree or interview them and let them be part of the email or the advertisement and what they got out of it. As a manager, if there's another manager mentoring, you might hear more of what that person has to say than someone who was mentored by again. I think that they could use what they've already done to help further the program throughout. What I was going to say before.
That's good. And so now we're each supposed to say what we would do to further this program or continue the program within our company.
Yeah.
Is that kind of what we're talking about?
And maybe let's just assume that we're all mentors to help this question along. Let's assume we're all mentors and we're on the committee to make this program better. What are we going to do that? Again, I think we've probably all said it, but let's make a list of that. Betsy, do you want to start for us?
Well, okay, let's see. Well, I think one, the matching process would be something I would think would definitely be important. Mm-hmm. So I would encourage them to keep that up, keep that going, because that seemed like really a key factor where they were so careful about matching people and their skills and their demographics and that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So I would think that would be a big plus to keep. Mm-hmm.
I think along with that, we go with matching and that pay grade, always keep them to ahead. I do think that's important because that's, if you're asking them a question, where do you see yourself in 5 years or 10 years, they probably see themselves at that.
Right, rather than someone on the same level as you already are.
Right, right.
I think it gives access, you have to have that access to somebody that's a little bit above you in the hierarchy.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Brad?
I think something that you do to improve it would be having more instruction and training for the, I don't want to say line managers, but the guys that are having their employees pulled out once a month for this, because as having been at that entry-level management level, having guys just not show up for work, it spreads it around for everybody else, and it just makes your job even harder. Mm-hmm. And so having them on board more would be probably easier to sell it and a way for them to encourage it better in the future, I think. Is that even answer to the question?
Yeah. Okay. Anyone else think of pros? I guess we're just going on pros. Pros that we can have for our program.
Well, I think we should keep it voluntary, for sure. And if there's ever a lack of people that are signing up for it, just to maybe get even better feedback as to what's working, what's not working.
I think.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I keep talking over everyone. Having a program manager who's excited about the program, I think is really important, to keep other people excited about it too.
Yeah, that was basically, I can't remember who was talking about that, but using the people that have been in the program already and using them to maybe spread the word or advertise or, target particular areas. I think the people with the experience, the people with enthusiasm really could make sell that program.
I think if the mentors and mentees try to keep the relationship even after the program, then it would make it seem more genuine and people would want to promote it more.
Well, folks, that is the last question. So, the last question that was the most confusing one of them all. Sorry, I probably didn't help with that either. So do we have any more points to discuss over, questions, or anything?
I don't think so.
Do we want to set a date for the doohickeys for ourselves to be done? Or Deanne, what do you think?
I'm going to probably work on it over the weekend or the rest of the week and see where I get to. But I have no problem submitting it early. Just get it done and, So I'll be going through there and just adding, intro, conclusion, and then just more beef to the problem, each problem. Sorry, she's a little fussy today.
Babies happen.
Yep.
No, that sounds good, and thank you, Deanna, for doing that.
Yep.
But you're right with the words. When I was looking at everyone's posts, we're already good as far as that goes, and that can be half the battle sometimes.
Yeah, I was surprised we had so many words already. Is it more on how many words, or is it more on how many pages? Or does it not?
I think it's words. Yeah.
I think it's a minimum of 3,500 words.
Okay.
The grading ruler is only applied slightly to, I think, content is what's really important.
Right. Well, I just didn't want to have to come up with another 1,200 words.
Right.
Yeah. I think for a paper this long, I think intros and conclusions are supposed to be 250 each, maybe. Is that?
Oh.
Yeah. Sounds about right.
Does that sound okay?
Yeah. Sounds like a good guideline.
So.
Well, good. Well, if that's all, then I guess we'll just be done a little early.
Well, we need a team leader. Or did I miss this? Because I blanked out. We need a team leader for next week.
Yeah.
I can do it.
Right.
I haven't done it yet.
Okay.
And then I'll volunteer for the next week. I think that was about benefits, possibly.
Okay.
Has everybody done it so far?
Once Brad and Deanne do it, then we'll be recycling, I guess.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, well then we'll see you all next week while Brad calls us.
Sounds good.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.
Have a
Bye.
good weekend.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys.